Let's kick this coverage off with a little altered wheelbase Chevy Nova. This is an early Nova. You can see it's got a tilt front end. It's got those rear wheel wells moved forward just a little bit. And the most interesting part to me is underneath that hood is a fuel-injected 409 combination. You hardly ever see a 409 in a Chevy 2. You certainly don't see that many W motors out there being drag raced. And he was beating on this one pretty hard. It's a neat combination, stick shift car, really cool vintage style build. Now this one hit pretty close to home for me. This is a Henry J. Gasser, and this thing is super clean, super slick build. Looks like a very fresh car. This belongs to Rory Campbell, and it is slick. You can see it's got a ton of hand lettering on it, lots of little tricks inside and out. The front axle's been moved forward a little bit. You can see the rear wheel openings are radius just right. Wheelie bars on the back, fender well headers. It's got all the right pieces, and when you look inside of this thing, this is not just a pieced together old car. This is a professionally built race car. Look at the seat covers on those Kirky aluminum seats. This thing is slick. Very nicely detailed car, and it was real fast too. He ran with the Straight Axle Mafia, and this car was running low sixes in the 8th mile. Here's another Straight Axle Mafia car, this time a little Anglia, and this one's called the Golden Angel 2, and it's a replication of a car that ran in the Louisville, Kentucky area back in the 60s. Unfortunately, that car was destroyed in a crash, and it ended up killing the driver, Ed Payne. But this is a very nice tribute to that car. You can see the Powell Service Center lettering on the door. It's got slotted mags on it, fender well headers. It's got all the right pieces, and you'll see that this one isn't sitting super high up in the air. It's right down low. The car works good. It's a very good representation of what Gassers used to be. The pits were absolutely packed with cool Gassers and all sorts of different race cars. We see some Chevrolet race cars here. We got an old coupe and then a Chevy 2 two-door sedan. You can see the Tin Man lettering, lots of lettering and cool paint work on this one, good pinstriping as well. And then you got the Beast 55 Chevy over here sporting the American flag. I absolutely love old Corvette race cars. These things look so cool, and you just don't see them very often anymore because most of these things have been restored back to original. This one looks like it's straight out of the 80s. It's got a killer setup. It's got that hardwood square scoop on it, good stance. You can see the headers poking out underneath. I don't know if that paint's been on there for lots of years, but either way, it's a great looking race car, and he was running it hard. One of the coolest things about the Nostalgia Nationals is this row in the pit area that is full of historic cars. We're talking nitro burning cackle cars. Now these things, most of them are not functional drag cars anymore. They're pretty much just fire them up. They can drive sometimes, but most of the time these cars are not functional as drag cars. But that doesn't mean that they're not significant. These things are typically restored using period correct parts or even sometimes original parts to the car. And these things make some beautiful noises, and they have a cackle fest on Saturday evening. That's kind of like the finale of this event. Now I wasn't there on Saturday for the finale, but it's a really great part of this event to see those historic cars out there on the drag strip. It always happens right as the sun's going down, so you can see the fire in the pipes, and the sound of lots of different nitro cars running at the same time is really cool. And one of these days I'll be there to capture that. This year was not the case. We went in on Thursday, we made our pass through the pits, we checked out the swap meet, we checked out the historic cars, the show and shine area. There's so many things to do at the Nostalgia Nationals that it really takes more than one day to see it all. But we packed it all into one day, and I'm bringing you my version of the coverage here. Lots of highlights, lots of cool cars to see. So we're going to continue walking through here to check out some of these cars. Some of them you may have seen on a previous video before, but they're worth mentioning again, and this is a good example here. This is Bruce Larson's USA 1 Camaro funny car, and this thing is restored perfectly. You can see it's got a Logie chassis, big block Chevy, blown and injected. This is a killer setup, and you can see the paintwork on this car is immaculate. The metal work, there's so many great pieces here, and it's all 100% period correct. And this one is a really good example of that transition from early funny cars into the more sophisticated funny cars of the 1970s. Another cool funny car, very similar situation to the USA 1 car, is the Dixie Twister of Houston Platt. Now Houston was famous for his Chevrolet drag cars, and he had a lot of different styles of cars, and he got started in the AFX class and worked his way up into these full-on funny cars, and this car was one of his finest pieces. This is a 70 Camaro. You can see blown and injected, big block Chevy. It's got beautiful magnesium wheels that are painted gold. You can see the paintwork on this thing is absolutely top notch. The details are incredible. This thing has a cool ramp truck to go along with it too. Up next is the Swamp Fox, not to be confused with the Swamp Rat. Take a look at this. Early Hemi, Mickey Thompson valve covers, beautifully polished supercharger and injector hat, magneto sticking up, zoomy headers, magnesium wheels with M&H slicks. This is the absolute perfect 1960s dragster. You can see them wiping it off here. A beautifully detailed car. Check out that very unusual butterfly steering wheel. That's kind of before the typical butterfly came out. Diamond stitched interior, just a very nicely detailed car. You can see by the wheelbase of this car that this is sort of a mid to late 60s design. It's before they got extremely long and certainly before they went to the rear engine. And this thing has some excellent details. You can see the paint and lettering is very simple and very clean. Lots of polished pieces. A very beautiful front engine dragster. Along with the front engine dragsters, there's quite a few push cars, and this one got my attention. This is a 57 Ford Ranchero, and it's pretty much stock. You don't see a whole lot of body modifications or anything. Interior is very nice, two-tone, red and black. But what I really liked about it was the wooden push bumper up front and the disc hubcaps on it. Very cool look. Kentucky drag racing historian Dave Huber wasn't actually able to come, but he had some friends that brought his car to put on display in the historic area, and this is a really cool piece. A lot of original pieces here, magnesium blower, two-port Hilborn setup, and this thing has legit Mickey Thompson history as well as some racing history in Indiana and Kentucky. The historic area also has a little bit of swap meet action going on. You can see here they set out tables with some cool parts. This Hilborn setup is really cool. It looks like it came straight out of storage. It had sold marked RA on it. We got a clutch can and a clutch setup here. Then if we move on to another one, we'll see some giant magnesium wheels. Looks like some 16 by 13s. And then we got some other cool parts up on this table, including this flared out scoop that's made for a Hilborn 4-port setup. This is $150, which is a really great deal. Here's an example of one of those scoops in use. You can see it's got a custom paint job sitting on top of a Hilborn 4-port setup, blown and injected Hemi. Front engine dragster's got some really cool paint. You can see that stripe work, the lettering, the gold leaf, just great details throughout. Now here's a cool funny car. This one's from the 70s. This is Ed McCulloch's Revolution funny car. You can see the English leather sponsorship there. And this car has a lot of cool details, including some hand-painted lettering. That's a lot of hand painting to do on such a big canvas. This car's got some big old slicks on the back. You can see they've custom lettered the M&H and the Ace. Big blown and injected Hemi engine combination. And you can see the evolution here on the chassis design compared to those Camaros. This thing is like a rocket ship. And these cars evolved very quickly throughout the 70s. This is a good example of that. Our good friend Jim Mize and his two sons were on hand, and he had two cars on display in the historic area. One was this dragster we're looking at now, and another was an Anglia Gasser. Both cars have early small Hemis, and we're not talking about 392s. We're talking like 200 and something cubic inches. These things are really cool, mechanically fuel injected, very authentically built. He built a lot of the stuff himself in his own garage. He's a very talented guy and one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. While I was walking through the pits, I ran across this customized Corvette. Now this is a 56 or 7, and check out the stance on this thing. This car is sitting so low, and this thing has got old school, old upholstery. This is not made to look old, this is old. The paint's old on this car, the wheels are old on this car. This thing has got the perfect patina, great stance, it sounds good through those side pipes. This thing is just too cool. This 1940 Willis Gasser is part of the S&S racing team. They always have at least one or two cars on display, and this one is an iconic 60s Gasser. You can see it's got B gas designations on it. It's got magnesium wheels front and back. Just a really cool stance, good setup on this car. But when you look on the inside, it does have some somewhat modern bucket seats. A little bit of street rod action here with the steering column and the gauges, but it does have a full roll cage in it. And the thing that got my attention are those American Le Mans magnesium front wheels. No matter what kind of gasser you like, there's plenty of options at the Nostalgia Nationals, including this old Chevy. This is my buddy Bob. He's got 540 cubic inches of big block Chevy power, and check out that paint job. This thing is slick. We saw plenty of cool stuff in the swap meet. This event has all sorts of great vintage speed parts on display and for sale, obviously, in the swap meet. You can see here tires and wheels, intakes, tunnel rams especially. If you're looking for a tunnel ram, this is the place to find it. Fuel injection units, skinny Kragers, all sorts of blow-proof bell housings and regular bell housings, velocity stacks everywhere. I actually picked up that little red scoop, bought it and brought it home for one of my projects. Just so many pieces of old school treasure on display and for sale in the swap meet. You see breathers, valve covers, little scoops, gauges, all sorts of cool stuff. And if you got enough money in your pocket, you can go home with some fresh magnesium, but you got to pay for them when you run across a pair of wheels that are this nice. We got plenty of anodized Moroso stuff. Gold Moroso, blue Moroso, small block, big block. We got a 3-deuce setup. We got an Offenhauser cross ram for an FE Ford. We got another cross ram with some cool scoops, tunnel ram. So many good options here. And check out this ultimate 70s setup. Tunnel ram, 2 4s, gold velocity stacks, gold Moroso valve covers for big block Chevy. And look at all these parts too. These are new Mickey Thompson valve covers, but it's got the old school look. Here's some more vintage speed parts. I always enjoy looking at vintage injector hats. And this particular vendor had all sorts of cast aluminum pieces. But look at that moon tank. He's got a couple of Slot by Scott scoops. These things were best known from the movie Mad Max. But look at all these different street scoop options. This guy had all sorts of cool stuff. 3-deuce setups, 2 4 setups, mechanical fuel injection, blower manifolds. This guy had it all. Here's some more good speed parts. We got a brown cap for a magneto, got another magneto sitting there, magnesium blower case, another blower case, blower pulleys, including a magnesium one sitting there. There's just so much good stuff to prowl through at the swap meet. This Enderley injector setup is beautifully restored. Sitting next to it is a Hilborn 2-port setup. That's more like the 1950s. And again, this vendor had all sorts of really high-end parts. Magnesium oil pan, magnesium Krager intake manifold, a really cool clutch can that looks like it was handmade back in the day. So many good pieces. Hey, what do you know? Another Henry J. I found another one here in the pits. This one's called Harry Canary, and it's got a fuel-injected small block Chevy. I didn't get to see this one run, but it's a pretty cool looking car. You can see it's tubbed in the back. It's got a little bit of a mixture of new and old, but still cool because it's a Henry J. But then next to it in the pits was a real deal old school drag car Henry J. You can see the lettering still on it, the bright yellow paint. And when we look inside, you can see it has huge engine setback, way back into the cockpit there. You can see it's got modern bucket seats, modern shifter, detachable steering wheel, good looking sheet metal on the inside. Then when we get around on the side here, we can see Honest Abe lettered on the doors. You can see it's got a little scoop that goes all the way back to the windshield, and they were running with the Straight Axle Mafia. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I love a good old school drag car survivor, and this is the perfect example. This thing is shiny and slick, and it looks like a recreation, but it's not. This is original to the 1970s, and look at the inside of there. It's got some old gauges. It's got a super old shifter in there, and look at the lettering on this thing. This is slick and clean and beautiful. This car came from the Chicago area, and look under the hood. This is a 427 based big block Chevy. It's got Snowflake GM aluminum heads, tunnel ram, 2 Hollies, big velocity stacks. This car has got some serious horsepower. It's got Super Trick wheels on the front, steel wheels on the back, and it was for sale. Sitting next to it was a really cool drag car. This is a 1958 Corvette. This car was previously campaigned by Tommy and Jan Jones out of Section, Alabama. Unfortunately, Tommy passed away and this car got sold and it ended up in Kentucky, and now it belongs to Ronnie Jones. No relation there, but Ronnie owns this car now and he's still getting it out and showing it. It's also been in a museum for a little while, but I'm glad to see it out in the daylight. This thing has made lots and lots of passes down drag strips in Tennessee and Alabama and Georgia, and it's just a really cool car with a lot of neat history. Now, this thing looks like it came straight out of the barn. It's a 67 Nova. And even though it's kind of ratty on the outside, just dirty really, Look at the inside. This thing has got a slick and nicely detailed small block with a cross ram, 2 4s. It looks like it's brand new under the hood. We back up and get a good look at it here. No hubcaps, just raw steel wheels, bias ply tires, a cool stance. Then when we look on the inside, we see a bench seat, but we also see a 4-speed with a vertical gate shifter, and then on the cowl is an old school tack screwed right onto the cowl. That's a really cool combination there. Cable drive tacks are always cool, and when they have a gold anodized bracket, that's just the icing on the cake. If there's one thing you can count on at the Nostalgia Nationals, it's seeing this pickup truck. You can see he's got an engine in the back. He always does. It's got Hilburn fuel injection service lettered on the door. He puts lots of miles on it, and notice it has a push bar on the front. He pushes those Nostalgia dragsters for the Cackle Fest. But sitting next to it is a really cool hot rod Corvette. You can see he's got a teardrop scoop there. I'm not sure as far as the drivetrain, what's going on there, but just a cool look with the steel wheels and just a hot rod look. Then we got a Model A with a chopped top, simple small block Chevy there, dirt track tires on the front, and regular Firestone bias plies on the back. These 3 cars really got my attention. I always love seeing a good 2-lane blacktop tribute car, and this was a pretty good one here. You can see the radius wheel wells, the 200S wheels, the sliding window instead of the regular roll up and down windows, big block Chevy, tunnel ram, 2 4s. You know, this car isn't exactly like the movie car, but it's got a real good look, and that flip forward front end with the iconic scoop really seals the deal. And sitting next to it is another tribute car for an iconic movie. This is the Bob Falfa 55 Chevy from American Graffiti. You can see under the hood, pretty simple small block Chevy, but this is a very slick car. It's got a real nice interior with a big notch in the seat for the 4-speed shifter. And then as we back up, we can see those radius wheel wells, chrome reverse wheels, no trim to speak of, just a slick black 55 Chevy. Hey, it's another Henry J, and this time it's a little more of a 70s street machine. Under the flip front end, we've got a Ford engine with the tunnel ram, 2 4s, headers, the whole 9 yards, and you'll even see some custom details like chrome upper control arms, but this thing's got some custom paint, custom interior. You can see it's a 4-speed car. You got lots of good little old school details here. This car's obviously been together a long time. The wheel wells are radiused on the back, and you can actually see maybe the rear wheels are moved forward on this car. It's got wheelie bars on it. Another really cool car that's just a time capsule. When it comes to old school hot rods, you always want your car to have an attitude, and this thing has a real attitude problem. It's got a severely chopped top, sitting high in the front with some magnesium spindle mount wheels. We got a Ford motor with a supercharger, 2 4s, a surfer style scoop. This thing is absolutely killer. You'll see as we make our way around, it's got a 32 Ford grill shell in it. You'll see the tinted roof insert, and it just turns the whole interior blue. But look at that, removable steering wheel so you can get in and out of this heavily chopped thing. It's got a roll cage in it. Out back it's got some recap slicks with some more magnesium wheels back here. These are American Racing standards. Such a cool combination of parts, and this thing was one of my favorite cars in the car show area. Check out the chrome roll bar and a lot of great details inside of this Mercury Comet. This thing has got some really great interior, pretty slick paint job on here too, and as we back up we'll see it's got red lines and 5 spokes and some massive slotted mags on the back, big tires, wheelie bars. It's got it all. And if that wasn't wild enough, this thing has a blown and injected 427 single overhead cam, otherwise known as a cammer, an exotic Ford racing engine. Not something you'd expect in a pro street car like this. This is a one-of-a-kind combination and definitely a throwback to Ford and Mercury's factory-backed racing program in the 1960s. Now this one's a little bit ratty, but you can see the history bleeding through here. This 55 Chevy sedan delivery has obviously had some history as a hot rod. You can see the paint work, got a little bit of primer on the door, and you can also see they've patched a lot on it, but you can see those stripes, those pinstripes. They've been on there for a long time. This thing obviously sat in a field somewhere or under a tree somewhere, but it's got radius wheel wells, it's got a straight axle under the front, and it's got a small block under the hood. So this thing is running and driving, but it's just a little rough around the edges. Here's another sedan delivery. This one is a little more unusual. This is a 56 Chevy, and as we make our way around, we'll see what's unusual about it. We saw the delivery sides on the driver's side, But on the passenger side, it has windows. So these things were really unusual, very rare, typically built for like the forestry service or something like that, and very seldom seen today. This is a 1941 Willis Coupe, and this is an iconic gasser. Look at the stance on this thing. It's sitting way up in the air. It's got some kidney bean wheels on it. It's got street tires on it, but it's got a really great stance, some cool flames on it, and it does have some street rod type stuff on the inside, but on the outside, it's all hot rod, all gasser. Here's another Willis gasser, this time a little bit crazier on the paint. This thing has every trick in the book. It's got lace, it's got airbrush work, it's got everything you can think of, and it's got a wild stance with Krager wheels, pie crust slicks, some headers hanging out underneath the front fenders, a really good combination of parts here. Even if you don't love the paint job, this is an iconic psychedelic gasser from the 60s and 70s. This is the Chuck Price Roadster. Technically, this car was not built in the 1950s because the original one was wrecked in 1962. But this is a very faithful recreation of that car, which was on the cover of Rods and Customs magazine in May of 1953. This thing has so many great details, and it has the perfect hot rod stance. Firestone tires just tucked way up in the fenders, steel wheels off of like a 40 Ford or something of that nature, and a flathead Ford V8 under the hood. This thing has great paint, great interior, and just a perfect overall look, and it was named as one of the 75 significant deuces during the 75th anniversary of the 32 Ford. So it's a pretty special piece, and it was on display in the car show area. Here's another cool gasser, and this one's a 57 Chevy. I'm assuming it's a 150 model, but it's got a cool stance. You can see the front bumper's been taken off, and a lot of things have been taken off of this thing, but on the inside, you got some old school buckets with some very cool vinyl seat covers, some aluminum work in there, a roll cage, radius wheel wells, and you'll see it's got some wheelie bars on the back and a round tube bumper just like everybody ran back in the day. There's always a huge turnout of Mopar drag cars at the Nostalgia Nationals, and part of that's because they have the Superstock class, and these Mopars were just the kings of Superstock back in the day. And check this out, 426 Hemi in a Dodge Dart. That was a lethal combination back in the 60s and 70s. And this one's got a really cool look to it. And as we move on, we see a 68 Plymouth Barracuda called the Super Cuda. Very slick paint job on this car. And as we make our way around, again, a 426 based Hemi engine, this time with a billet-topped cross ram setup, 2 Holley carburetors. This is a serious setup that was running on a 9-flat index. Here's another Mopar running on that 9-flat index, the High Adventure Hemi. Look under the hood of this thing. This thing has a serious Hemi combination. It's got a sheet metal intake with 2 4s, very slick paint job on it with some nice lettering, and of course that iconic Superstock hood scoop. It doesn't get much better than this. This has got to be one of the coolest combinations in Bowling Green. A cab-over ramp truck with a slick paint job, and then a really cool hot rod. You can see it's got cheater slicks and slotted mags, and then a little 4-cylinder engine with 2 Holley 2-barrels. This is a wild combination that got a lot of attention throughout the weekend. My buddy Dwayne showed up in this really cool drag pack Mustang Fastback, and this thing's got legit drag racing history going all the way back to new. It was ordered with this 428 Cobra Jet engine, and with an automatic, and with a 391 gear. That's what made it the drag pack. And he has kept this history alive by putting a really cool tire and wheel combination on it, skinny slots, black steel wheels, bi-ply tires, a really great combination that still hits the road and could hit the track if you wanted to. And I want to say a special shout out to Dwayne's son Ross. He didn't go with him to Bowling Green, but he watches the channel and he's grown up around these old cars. Young men like him are the future of hot rodding, and that's the only way to keep this old stuff alive. Here we got another cool Ford, this time a 63 Ford Galaxy. And check out the low stance on this thing, the chrome reverse wheels with some pretty big tires on the back. And look on the inside, it's got bucket seats, fully loaded interior. It's got some really cool pieces in here too. We've got a Stewart Warner tack up on the dash, a set of vintage Stewart Warner gauges under the dash, and then as we go under the hood, we see 2 4s on an old FE engine. This is what hot rodding was all about in 1963. This little Chevy 2 gasser was a really clean build. You can see it's got a lot of good details, including a very slick paint job. You can see the reflection here. A lot of good lettering on it, and it's got a pretty cool stance. It's not like way up in the air, and it doesn't have radius wheel wells. He actually mini tubbed the car a little bit so you could get those Kragers stuffed up under the back of it. And then you can see it's got fender well headers, bread box tunnel ram on a small block, and then a lot of good details on the inside as well. Got some cool little bucket seats, a red roll bar, and then just your classic combination of 3-spoke steering wheel, tack on the dash, and then a little bit of lettering on the glove box door. So a very cool combination of parts, and it fit right in at the Nostalgia Nationals. Here's another hot rod with a bad attitude. This is a 32 Ford 2-door sedan, and it's got a pretty heavy chop top, but you'll see the big wow factor here are those huge slicks on the back. Got black steel wheels. It's just a bad looking hot rod. Now check this out. This is a 9-passenger Chevrolet station wagon. You can see it's got a trailer hitch, the little steps on the back bumper so the kids can climb in the back. You can see the slick paint job with some nice pinstriping and details. And then on the inside, we see it's got red interior and then dash mounted gauges here. We got a tack and 2 vintage Stewart Warner gauges up there. Very cool stuff. And my favorite part of this car is this roll bar. He built this to look like a Lakewood 3-point bar. Now, he actually built this, put the Lakewood sticker on it, but he built this to be NHRA legal. So it's got a door bar that's been added to it, and he's got another door bar that he can add to it if the tech official gets a little bit picky on him. And under the hood is an NHRA stock eliminator style engine. It's got a lot of tricks on the inside, but it's also got some tricks on the outside. You can see it's got an Edelbrock SY1 intake manifold. That's SY stands for Smoky Eunuch. It's also got some Mickey Thompson valve covers, which are early magnesium valve covers. Very cool, very rare. It's got some old school breathers on there. This thing's full of old speed parts, and it's got a lot of cool personality. All the way in the back of the pits, we ran across an old friend with this really cool Kellison funny car. This is Zorro's Charger, and all this paint that you see here has been on there for many, many years, well over 55 years. This thing has got a lot of cool vintage pieces, but it's also got some modern stuff that allows him to compete in the 1/8 mile and 1/4 mile competition. Very cool historic drag car. Have I mentioned that I love Corvette drag cars? This thing is so cool. It's got a serious big block tunnel ram, 2 Dominators. You look inside of here, it's got an early version of a funny car style cage, some aluminum pieces filling in the dash, but a wood grain steering wheel. That's a nice touch. But you look here, these stickers, these are from the Sports Nationals, from all sorts of different NHRA events from the 80s and 90s. You can see some hand lettering back there, big tires under the back, wheelie bars, parachute, everything you want in an old school Corvette drag car. Now here's a pretty interesting car. This old Chevy, it's got a lot of cool lettering on it, including on the doors it says Gene Schwartz, NHRA record holder, 1964 to 1967, 1966 NHRA National Class Champion, 1965 NASCAR Nationals Class Champion and Street Eliminator, and this car and its driver is still active to this day, and it's quoted as the only original gasser car, driver, and owner from the 60s left in the country still racing today. It's a really neat looking piece, and he was beating on it pretty hard. One of my favorite styles of race car is early pro stock cars. And I also really like Plymouth Dusters, Dodge Demons, and some of the Dodge Darts from that era. And this is a great example. This thing's got a killer stance. You see the wheel wells have been cut way out on the back. It's got magnesium motor wheel fly wheels, and they're lifting the hood off right now so that we can see that 426 based Hemi engine underneath that big old snorkel scoop. You see lots of aluminum paneling in here. This is a very nice restoration on this car. You can see Max Hurley Automotive, and this car is immaculate, a beautiful representation of early 70s pro stock. This year's Nostalgia Nationals was plagued with bad weather, but I did get to see a little bit of drag racing action on Thursday, so I'm going to show you some of the highlights here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and you'll see more videos of this nature from our channel. You can also leave me a thumbs up, and I love to see your comments, so feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.